Welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live on this Thursday morning. A lot going on, but perhaps none will have the masses interested more than Robinhood's market debut. Recent headlines suggesting the stock is indicated to open at $42 per share. This after Robinhood priced its IPO last night at $38 per share, bottom end of the range, giving the company a valuation just north of $30 billion. Now, we are still expecting that it will take some time, as is often the case, as is always the case, with highly anticipated IPOs for the stock to begin trading. Folks have to build the full book, match every buy with every sell to get trading going. 42, the indication, one suspects it'll go higher. We have our little pool, Julie, on where we think the stock will close. We can save our disclosure. Well, tomorrow we'll circle back and we'll let everyone know.
If I win, I'll tell everyone.
Who was closest there. Now, I think what's a big part of this story. We talked about the metaverse with Facebook earlier. There's a meta element to the Robinhood story of them going public, given that it was their platform that I think really, created the fuel that lit the fire, that started the entire retail meme reshaping the market, we could say, that has happened so far this year. And so now to see shares of this company come public is sort of, it's full circle, even though it's only been 7 months.
Well, what's also interesting is it was not a foregone conclusion that the IPO was going to happen at one point, right? When we were seeing the meme stock turmoil happening, when a lot of their users were upset with them over the halt of GameStop trading because of the T+2,
they had to raise capital.
It takes time for execution of various trades, and they had to raise capital indeed. And we've sort of seen the maturation. Like, it's so interesting when we have these startup companies where you see the maturation of it and of young executives before your eyes. Vlad Tenev, of course, the CEO, being grilled before Congress, being grilled by the media, at one point doing quite a lot of media to try to explain what the company had been doing. He's 34 years old. The guy's going to be a billionaire. Sort of seeing him go through the ringer. I mean, we've seen that with other companies. We've seen that with Facebook, a young executive sort of growing up before our eyes. That's an interesting process to me as well.
Spiegel, another one.
Yeah. Also interesting, too, like we've been talking about all week, this IPO is coming at a good time for Robinhood because of the bounce back in crypto. So I wouldn't be surprised if while you're seeing this higher indication here in the early going. Last indication I had about 42, as you mentioned, Myles up 11% from the pricing price. But crypto has rallied back, and I am unsure if it would be getting this type of pop if crypto was down around 30,000 and indicating maybe 28,000 or even below that.
Yeah, and I think, again, just to pull some key numbers that we have, and we see here, $522 million revenue in the company's second quarter. When they filed their S1, 17.7 million active users, monthly active users, 18 million funded accounts. That's now up to 22.5. And I think what's most important here, more than 50% of Robinhood customers are first-time investors. And so the question for the company going forward is, can they continue to pull from, research will vary, but let's call it at least half of Americans who do not own individual stocks outside of a retirement plan. Can the company continue to pull from that? Or do they endeavor to find new ways to make money from their customers other than options trading, which is the vast majority of where they're getting their revenue? And options trading, of course, requires a risk-on market. It requires investors, customers, let's call them, who want to see ever-increasing returns, who have a higher risk tolerance. But will they, and our discussion prior about Vanguard and Fidelity and all these other, more staid and established folks, will they continue to try to encroach on that space, or are they, comfortable with where they're at? Because the growth makes it a completely different company today than it was 2 years ago. To your point about getting to the IPO, right, Julie?
Right. Now the indication is for $40, so already it's moved down $2 from. But this process can take a while, right? We're going to get a lot of indications probably before the stock ends up opening up, especially such a high-profile opening like this. We heard earlier that the Nasdaq, of course, is babysitting this one pretty closely, as you might imagine. Something else with Robinhood that we don't talk as much about is not just the competition from the existing older players out there, but also there are a lot of other startups out there. There's the Weebles and Public, whose CEO we talked to. A lot of these other companies that are trying to eToro, right? That are trying to do what Robinhood does. And maybe they have first mover advantage. They certainly have name recognition that a lot of these other companies don't. But it's not a given that Robinhood is going to be the one that maybe it is.
And there are also other crypto trading platforms too. You have Coinbase. We talked to one this week, Epiphany, another crypto trading base. And to what extent, as they grow, will they take some of these Robinhood customers? Yeah,
I would just say that if our present world teaches us anything about the power of brand, we as a society have a high acceptance and tolerance of there being one.
That's true.
And I feel like Robinhood has from a branding standpoint, some of the branding, it's not all good, but it's not all good for Facebook either.
Yeah.
$1 trillion company. So,
yeah.
So we'll see how that evolves, and of course the multiple of users, what's each user worth, so on and so forth.
The other thing that we haven't talked as much about today is the regulatory risk, and they came out with a filing earlier this week, right? That they had a request from FINRA. It's compliance with registration requirements for personnel. I'm not quite sure. Do you guys know what that was all about?
As far as I understand, Vlad Tenev, the CEO, is not registered, doesn't have licenses as a securities dealer, as a broker.
Is that okay?
I mean, FINRA's asking if it's okay. I think that's the conversation they're going to have. Gotcha. Is that okay? Because he's running the company.
He's a tech
He's
guy.
Obviously not selling the stock, but like on the farthest edge of a logical argument, he is selling the stock. Because he runs the company that offers the platform.
Do all of the CEOs of all of the brokers have those licenses?
That's a great question. I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Sure. Does Adina Friedman have...
Is Thomas Petterfy
an exchange owner? Do they have to have these licenses too? Right. I don't know.
Do a little digging on that one.
We'll do a Yahoo U on this.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't know.
But did Jack Bogle have
that's a conversation.
I don't know.
At some point, probably. Right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Let's go Google that. See if we can come up with some answers.